of the main reasons on the show tonight was to expose Meltology and their tactics and the people who are inside of Meltology. And one of those people is I Am Kairos. Now, the funny thing is, right, I may have this little channel, you know, a few hundred people, almost 300 people now. But I was very close with a lot of the biggest names in Meltology. I mean, a lot of them. Like Tartarian Meltdown, we had a we had a relationship outside of YouTube, you know. Of course, you know, I used to roll with the Chill Out Zone quite heavy, you know. And, of course, I Am Kairos, we had a relationship outside of YouTube as well. And he specifically asked for my help on this spot here that he found in San Francisco, Point Lobos Avenue. You see it here in the background. Right, and now you see the title up here, this Melted Brick Avalanche. Okay, this is his most viewed video, alright? By far, this video has more views than anything on his channel. Now, I believe that has a lot to do with why he doesn't want to correct it or take it down. Honestly, taking it down would be the thing to do, but at this point, it's been spread through the community without anyone else looking into it. Now, not only does this prove how little the community looks into anything they push, but it also exposes Kairos as being a fraud, okay? Because he's fully aware of what this place actually is, all right? Now, it's not hard to, this area right here, this Sutra's Baths area is very, very well documented, okay? Like, extremely well documented. Now, when I first saw this, when I first looked at this spot, I was like, oh man, that's clearly gunite concrete sprayed over the hillside, you know, with backfill to keep it from falling down on top of the cars that drive by. To me, it was clear without even looking into it what we were looking at here, right? But I guess I was assuming that Kairos was capable of a thought process, any kind of thought process, outside of assuming everything was a melted building, right? Which I believe is what has been so toxic in the community, was assumptions. I mean, the facts are that the theory they push is an assumption based, you know, it's a hypothesis based in assumptions. No results ever been duplicated or replicated. I mean, these are just facts, okay? But anyone that's been in construction or around construction or paid attention to construction would be able to tell that what's on this hillside right here is just gunite. I always mispronounce that word, but I think you guys probably know what I'm talking about. Sprayed on concrete. Look at it. Come on, man. It's obvious. It's so obvious. But he continues, he goes through, I mean, come on, look at that. It's obvious what that is, man. The fact that any other meltologist looked at this and said, wow, that's a melted red brick building. You know, man, I think you guys' head is so deep, man, that you haven't had fresh air in a few years now. It's time to come out, get some air. It's time to come out and get some air. So, you know, here's the spot, right? And he pushes his narratives all throughout this video. He talks about, you know, oh, it's red bricks. So here's spot right in the wall. I mean, yeah, it's red bricks. It is red bricks. Yes, red bricks. Yes, it's called backfill. Now the thing about this, right, the spot right here, when this was all done, it was after the 1906, I believe it was 1906, I could be wrong, earthquake. Trust me, there would have been no shortage of these kind of broken bricks and blocks laying around. It would have been all over the place, and they would have been trying to figure out what, Maybe we can do something with them. Hey, let's put them up here, you know, by the cliff house, you know, to keep the cliff from falling down on everybody. Great idea. Right? Now, I'm pretty sure his motivation here is all the mental blowjobs he's getting in the comments section. You know, this guy's an egomaniac. He's made that evidently clear that he's an egomaniac. As most of these meltologists, these self-proclaimed meltologists are. I mean, this is what happens when you're in a cult, man. You get a mindset that you're superior and that other people should have the same belief as you. Honestly, it's disgusting. But here's this little spot here, man. You know, when you know what it is, it's ridiculous that you're even out here. What a surprise. And all I could really say, he did give me one little rebuttal, apart from his link to someone else's video as a response to my research, which I found quite pathetic. He said that I needed to come out here and look at it for myself. Well, the beauty of that, Kairos, is that you went out there and you filmed it for me so I could look at it from here. So, you know, if that's what you want to go on to keep your video up, I mean, you don't even want to show these people what I'm about to show because you know it just completely devastates. Look, heat transformation. Look at this nonsense he puts in this video. Look at this trash. It's disgusting. Anyway, that's our boy. This supposed boots on the ground specialist, again, it's exposing them for who they are. When you call this man a specialist, he has done zero homework. Now that's your specialist. You know, man, you guys are embarrassing. You're embarrassing. Now, I'll show you what my research brought back that made Kairos pretty much stop talking to me. He even had the audacity to want me to apologize to him for exposing him. Can you believe that? The guy's a joke. He's toxic, man. I would retire if I were you, bud. Project. You're a project now, you see. Yeah, but I'm just the little guy. You're lucky I don't have as many subs as you, homie. Or any of y'all. Especially the bigger channels like Tartarian Meltdown. You guys are... I'm just one person here. All we had to do, man, all we had to do was sit down and talk about this. But when I showed it to people, it either conflicted with their narrative, you know, it either conflicted with their narratives, hold on, you know, it either went against what they wanted people to believe, because, you know, a few of them at this point, I believe they're so heavily invested in it that they're scared to do anything else, you know, to say, hey, man, I might have been wrong. In no way am I saying that this evidence is final and that this is the way it is. What I'm saying is that this evidence is, or what I found is a possibility of what happened here. Okay? And to not even accept it as being a possibility and to send me a link to someone else's video about how these old pictures were faked. Funny thing is, the guy who made that video, you know how many pictures he used from this website right here? You know how many he used? None. Not one of his pictures was sourced from this website right here. This website is legit. You just don't want to admit it to yourself for whatever damn reason. But that's fine. But here we have this area. Okay, right here is the hillside in the video. Okay. This is Point Lobos Avenue. Here's the seawall that they think was red bricks at one point. Nonsense. And right here, this is the spot right here. You see it? Right through here. Where's your melted building? Where's your melted building? Do you see a melted building there? Man, you know, guys, I went into this. I wanted to prove Meltology. It was the whole reason for why I started it, because I wanted to prove it, but I didn't. So right here, this is our after picture, okay? And you can see where they've sprayed right here. They've already sprayed it. The road's finished, sidewalk put in. Gunite sprayed, gunite concrete. It's here. It's in this. You have it before and after. Right here. It's a possibility, but you didn't even want to consider it as a possibility. Right. So, and then the other guy, you know, they pushed this grain growth study here. This abnormal grain growth is characterized by a fast growth of a few large grains in a matrix of fine grains, which the size change with annealing time is almost nil or least negligible compared to that of the abnormal grains. Okay? It can also occur in equilibrium, all that stuff. Anyway, again, you know, just the fact that this grain growth study wasn't done on a brick kind of makes it null and void for you trying to present it as a study for your popcorn and balloon and all these little terms, you guys, these little fancy terminologies around. That really doesn't make any sense. It reminds me of academia. And also they used the grain growth study right off Wikipedia, which I thought was hilarious because whenever Stuff Beagle used Wikipedia to disprove one of Joachim's videos, which honestly, we're kind of coming full circle here on his show, because that video that Beagle made, I didn't even know who Stuff Beagle was at the time. I was directed to his video because they wanted me to go over there and try to rebuttal what he had done, but what he had done was very easily disproving Joachim's video, and their whole thing was, you know, I'll say this, man, mainstream narrative's not always a lie. Sometimes that mainstream narrative is documented by a regular person, right? Why would they pick out this one little castle and, you know, anyway, I'm sure y'all are familiar with that video Beagle did. But then they go and use a study off of Wikipedia. You know, hypocrisy within the group, man. You know. I'm glad I got out when I did. Anyway, that'll be exposing meltologists for how they act behind the scenes, man. Again, no one stuck up for me publicly. Supposedly a few people talked behind the scenes about it. I don't know. I never saw proof of that either, but, you know, I was hoping a few soldiers would step up, man, and jump in the ring with me, but here I sit alone. But I'm thankful for Stuff Beagle for having me on and giving me this opportunity. This wasn't easy for me to expose my peers. I never wanted this to happen. Anyway.
Everybody knows you don't go full Meltard.
Oh, Karen. Oh, Karen. How did this happen? Now, the popular narrative is that a so-called artist by the name of Leandro Ehrlich erected this building. This is the melted building in the Gare du Nord in Paris. The Gare du Nord is a great, big, massive train station. But it's another building that I have to go back into because it's a huge grid component as well. You can see the back of it behind the melted building. But there is no way in a million years that someone made this as some kind of artistic interpretation. And I'll show you why. Not only the lean, but look how blocky it is down here and on the ground in front. I'm just going to this. Look how the bricks here. You're telling me he did this? No way. Look at this brickwork.
Yeah.
Look how they did that. Look at the deformation.
Mm-hmm.
How the bricks are deformed at the bottom here, and then they still go into rows here. But from this point downwards, as we say, the heat rose from the bottom. It's so hot at the front, the bricks have turned to blocks. The lean of the building. Look, brick lines popping out here. There's no way he did this.
Nope.
Not in a million. Here it is with the train station behind it. This train station is grid component. This is grid component. You can see it's clearly not brick flood. This is melted building. It's melted down into the brick flood. Over the years, it's been they've had pavement over the top. If you dig down, you'll find the rest of this building melted and twisted underneath.
Oh yeah.
And of course, as I gave you the name, you can always go and check it out yourself. The melted building, Gare du Nord, Paris.
What's inside of that building?
Who knows?
Yeah, buddy, that's the money at inside.
You know, I doubt if they even let people go in here. If there's a way in, I don't think there's a way in.
Why? I mean, why wouldn't they level that? Like, what is it for? It's just in the fucking way.
It's right in front of the train station. What purpose is it?
Exactly. They mow everything else down unless it's connected to something underneath the rest of that building.
Look at the melt here. Look how it's bent, leaning. You've got a woman in the window. Look. There's no way he did this. Leandro Ehrlich. There you go, in front of the train station. What purpose has that building got?
Well, once again, we got to try to comprehend why the city would pay him to put a fucking leaning building there.
Exactly.
Because it's on city property, even in the 1900s. It's not like he did in his backyard, right in the fucking middle of everything. You're just gonna go build something if it has no purpose to be built to serve any purpose but to take up space. I mean,
exactly. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll build a leaning building as a tourist attraction for people to come and look at 200
years. It generates no money. It does nothing, and it's in the way. They could tear that down and put a fucking fruit stand and sell something. You know, charge rent. You can't even charge rent there. The fuck it's needed.
Again, yeah, we know.
Okay, let's go and see if we can do a reverse image search on this melted building, and it comes right up. And we'll go to visually similar images, and we can see this melted building. And so we'll look at these. It's only got 4 sides. No big deal. Now, what else can we find? Let's see the history of it. So we'll do a little research into looking up this facility, and the Manson Fond, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, translates as house background, and is the work by Leonardo Ehrlich, located on the forecourt of the Gare du Nord in the that's the train station in Paris, in the 10th, I don't know what that word is, of Paris, I guess neighborhood of Paris or something, or district of something like that. Anyways, inaugurated on October 3rd, 2015 as part of the White Night. It represents the Parisian building that seems to be melting and aims to make passersby aware of the effects of global warming and to encourage reflection on the heritage bequeathed to further generations. The title is a play on words with My Children. The work is inspired by a building in the, I don't speak French, so whatever that word is, style is located Rue de Grenelle. Mason Fond was dismantled on Tuesday, March 16, 2021. The reason given was the poor condition of the structure. The dismantling was carried out in consultation with Leonardo Eldridge. So you can see a little picture there, and there's the references. And then let's go look at Google Earth. Now, the Meltards, we got, this is Google Earth, Manson, Fond Gare du Nord. The train station, let's get rid of this, is right here. You can see the train lines coming in right here. And then we go in and we can kind of get an idea of the little bit of the structure here. And the speculation is that what they're saying, as you clearly saw, they are saying that this is an old world building that has melted in the X factor, and that the official story, the official narrative, that it was built by an artist is not true. That there is absolutely no reason that you would build, that's beautiful right there, that you would know, there's no reason you would build a structure like this in this place for any reason whatsoever. Now, let me be clear about this. As you heard, they stated that they believe that this is a melted building and it was not built by the artist in 2015. We also learned that it was removed in 2021 due to structural integrity of the building not being good. Now, if this building was here, okay, 200 years ago, okay, then when I switch this street view here from 2019, which is what I'm on right now, to a different year, let's say May 2008, it should be there. Huh. That's funny. Where did it go? Maybe it's there in 2012. No, it's not there. How about 2014? No, still not there. 2015? No, still not there. 2016? Oh, voila, it's there. So let's go back to 2008. Why not? Okay, we're at 2008. We're going to scoot up here. We're going to look back. Still not there. Let's go up the street a little bit. Look back. Still not there. No building. So 200 years ago, when they're saying that the building should be here, the building is miraculously not fucking there. It ain't there. So how in the flying fuck can the fucking building be a melted building if it's not there before 2015, you stupid fucks? Answer me that fucking question. And I'm the fucking idiot? Let's look at something else too. What we have here is, I have two pictures of the dismantling of the building. You can see here, Villa de Paris information. Let's see, to my demolition dates. 3/15/2021, which is the date that they gave for the dismantling of the building. There's the train station in the background. Here's the building being demolished. You can see it's a steel frame building. And you can see all the horse shit. It's an artistic, you can see the facade here. So this is a artistic building. This is another picture. You can see the train station in the background. This is the building being dismantled. And you can see the facade here. It's not even real. It's got a steel frame. It's all crappy facade. Okay. It may have had bricks on it at one time, but it was definitely not melted. Y'all need to put down the fucking drugs and do some proper fucking research. Because this shit is ridiculous. Either There's two things going on here, Spartan Red. Either one, you're so fucking high that you have no idea how to do proper research. Or number two, you're purposely lying to the viewers and the community, and the shit's gonna end. Okay? This shit's gonna end. And I plan on fucking ending it. Beaks out.
It's the one and only Digo Double G.
This motherfucker don't miss.
No, he's fucking good.
That motherfucker don't miss, man.
He's good.
In the heat of battle, he don't miss.
No.
In the heat of controversy, he don't miss.
No.
Mudflood Club.
Welcome. We have Gnawlidge with us tonight. How you doing, Mr. Gnawlidge?
All right, I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
You're quite welcome. We had a little intro there, get people kind of primed and ready to listen to your story and hear your truth. And I hope everybody's warmed up now and got their boots on and ready to do some thinking.
Yeah.
So I understand you're actually going against your own group of people, and I'd like to applaud you for standing up, because that is not an easy thing to do.
I appreciate that, because it really, I do this with a heavy heart, man. I really do. It's not easy.
I completely understand. I have done the same thing, even in my own circles. And it is a very hard thing to do. And it's very hard to stand on the wall by yourself. I stood on the wall fighting this for a long time before my people actually stood on the wall with me. So when I saw you were having your troubles with them, I thought I would stand on the wall with you, because I needed somebody. And so I'm standing here on the wall with you, man.
I appreciate that, man. It means the world to me right now. It really does, because I need all the support I can get in something like this, man, because, you know, when I say things like it's a cult, I really, you know, that's how I feel about it, man. And honestly, it is, if you really think about it, because of their mindset is singular, and any other mindset isn't welcome there. I mean, if you were going to define a cult, that's probably what you would say.
Yeah. You know, we talked about it. We want to be respectful when we're talking about this. We have a lot of questions, and sometimes it may sound like we're just attacking, but you know, that's really not what's happening. We're asking questions, and the problem is, go ahead.
I want people to know, like, how deep I actually was in this Meltology. Like, the biggest names in Meltology, I knew them on a personal level.
And I can confirm that, because when a few months ago, I think it's 2 or 3 months ago, back the first time I contacted you, I saw that you were asking questions of them, and I was thinking myself, wait a minute, this guy is one of them, because I remember seeing your name on the Spartan Red video descriptions. And so I was like, this is very interesting that somebody in their group is challenging them. And so I told you back then that when I had time, I would get you on the show. And because you're having your trouble, I figured I needed to clear my schedule and make time for you. So you're here.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I really do appreciate that, John. I really do, man. It means the world to me right now.
You're quite welcome. I started this when I started learning about Meltology, because some of the things they were saying were very confusing, and I did not understand. I didn't
agree with what they were saying. And so I started doing my own research, and it was, everything wasn't adding up. And the more I looked, the more it got very strange.
Yeah,
And
honestly, I feel like it got hijacked at some point because it started off as this thing that made you think outside of the box, even though you were already thinking outside of the box to even find out what these Meltology was, to even get to that point.
okay, now let me give my perspective about where I think Meltology came from, and then I want you to correct where I'm wrong, because I am not from that group, so I don't know the exact history. I will give you my rundown in general. My understanding is that Jerry DeCamp discovered this theory and came out with his theory and did the video. He was running videos on YouTube, and then he'd made a video called When the Buildings Cried, and that was the original kind of opening to Meltology. And then Spartan Red and Truth Seeker 69 got in there and were helping him out, but then there was a split that they had a falling out, and I don't know what happened, but I understand that they split. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was there for that.
Okay, and then we had another split. I believe that Spartan Red and True Seeker 69 split.
Yeah, I don't really know Truth Seeker 69. I don't really know her. I can't speak on her at all.
Okay, and then you had, I don't know where Tartarian Meltdown came into play, but my understanding where it stands now is that you have two camps. You have the Phoenix Eye crew and the Eagle Eye crew. And the Phoenix Eye crew being the Jerry DeCamp crew, and the Eagle Eye crew being the Spartan Red crew. And then you kind of have Jen, True Seeker 69, off in her own, with her own kind of clique. So there's really three factions, but there's only two videos: the When the Buildings Cry and the Tartarian Meltdown documentary.
That's right.
Does all that sound right to you?
Yeah, you got it for sure.
Okay, so now if I was to say who is the godfather of Meltology, who would you say?
It would have to be Jerry DeCamp.
That's what I would agree with that. From my research, now I have the first thing I did was I started trying to determine who was involved, and so then once I determined the main players, I started narrowing it down because I wanted to find the snake, the head of the snake, and I narrowed it down to Spartan Red, Jerry DeCamp, Jacobin, Tartarian Meltdown, and True Seeker 69. They're the four that I believe.
At the beginning. All of them were at the beginning, but it was Jerry's concept idea, and they helped him put it together.
Okay. Now, over time, I've noticed that they've also what I call one up the crazy. They keep one up in each other with these theories. It's a melted building. Now we've got icebergs are melted buildings.
Yeah.
And
I was out at that point. At that point, I think that's right about the time I was like, man, I can't do this anymore.
If an iceberg is a melted building, I would like anyone in the world to go up to the icebergs and cut a chunk of iceberg off and bring it back down here to be analyzed. That is, if you can get it down here without it melting.
I mean, I'll say this, that I have seen some icebergs that had archways and pillars and columns and all the stuff that you would probably see in a building.
Sure.
And I want to go out there and put my hand on it too to see if it's really ice. All those things. I still want to do those things to it, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was a red brick building.
And that's the thing. When you look at a picture and you make a determination that that's a melted building, okay, well, what are you basing that on? You're not there. I know you didn't go at that. You didn't put your hand on that, like you said.
Yeah.
You didn't do that. So where is your evidence for this? There is no evidence. So why are you saying it?
Yes, exactly. Evidence must be duplicated or replicated at the minimum, and neither one of those things are happening.
Right. So we both have questions. I started. Okay. Now one of the things that they'll say is when you're debating, when you're asking questions in their chats and their comments, what they'll do is they'll say, okay, well, did you watch the documentaries? And they're either talking about the Tartarian Meltdown documentary or the When the Buildings Cry.
And the thing is like, yeah, I watched it, and they're like, well, it takes a while for you to understand it. You should watch it again. But see, here's the thing: I've watched all these videos quite a few times. Not to mention, I have gone picture by picture and analyzed it picture by picture, reverse image searched. So yes, I've done. I know I actually have looked into it.
I did the same thing, man. I did it the same way. I'm like, I got to break it all the way down, every possibility. You have to analyze every possibility, or you're just limiting yourself.
And the problem with a lot of these images that they search, I would say a good 50% of them, at the very least, you search them, reverse image search them, and nothing comes back. You don't even get a reverse hit on it. These pictures are so they look so much like everything else that there's nothing descriptive about them. And another thing these people do is they do not write down any information, like where's the location, where did they get the picture. They have no information, so you cannot research it.
If you don't even know where you're at, how can you possibly know what you're looking at?
Right. It's we need. I think that there is a possibility of melted buildings from a reset. I do believe that. We know that brick can melt. That's been proven.
Yeah, sure.
It's unquestionable that brick can melt. This is a known thing. Maybe not by people that don't research it, but once you do the research, you'll find that they do melt. That is true.
Yeah.
But you did you made a comment recently about how you potted a plant in brick dust, and it hasn't started to grow yet. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so brilliant, because when they say that, and this is what got me on. This is where they fucked up. I'll tell you exactly where they fucked up. When they said in their first videos, when they said that there was no mud flood, it was a brick dust flood. I'm like, whoa, hold on, wait a minute. You just shot one across my bow. You just said my whole research doesn't exist. Well, that's a bad way to go, because I know my research exists. I know that I know what I'm talking about. And so that's what got me onto them. That's where they fucked up. That's if they want to know how they got me to bite their ass, that's how they did it. They denied my research.
I get it. That's what they did to me too. They did the same thing to me, and yeah, I totally get what you're saying there.
It's another thing is this the popcorn, the balloon rocks and the popcorn rocks, or however they say it. They have their own little terminology. This thing just drives me up the fucking wall. They talk about this grain growth and how grain, they say, first, let me be clear. They say that geology doesn't exist. Okay, fine. We'll go with that. If geology doesn't exist, that's fine. If you want to go and use that as a basis of your research, fine. But then they turn right around. They use geology, grain growth, to say this is how a brick turns into a stone.
Yeah, so using something that don't exist to explain your theory is not going to look good.
Right? It's like, hello, McFly. I mean, God, it's so stupid. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's bad, man. It is. It's toxic to the community. And I would kind of like to show just like what I brought to the table that got me thrown out, basically. If you want to look at a few slides.
Sure.
Or if you want to keep talking, whatever you want to do. But I brought maybe.
No, I want you to present you. Do you know how to present?
Yeah, let me. I think I got this.
Okay.
There we go.
Bear with us, folks.
I'm
okay.
On
there
on
you go.
Device here, so all right.
There you go. Talk away.
Petra. Okay, if you want to make a case for a melted building, that would be the place to start for me. But at the same time, when I really look at Petra, it looks like petrified wood. But
let me stop you just right there. I know that they claim that Petra is a melted building, and my question, I have two things. Number one, Petra has Mudflood windows and doors. I don't know if you knew that.
Sure.
But then also Petra has rooms inside of these buildings. I'm wondering, has anybody done the research about going inside the buildings and looking for evidence of the melting inside the buildings, not just out?
You know, everything I've found on the inside is either covered in soot from them burning torches in there, or it looks like wood to me. It has the
Ah,
grain patterns in it, and none of it really, it's all perfect and flat. None of it really looks melted. Now, honestly, I believe that Petra was a humongous building at one point, and it's gotten devastated several times and rebuilt several times. But that's just the way I feel about
I have not looked into Petra from the meltology standpoint. So those are the two questions I had.
it.
Go
Because it
ahead.
definitely has features a building would have.
Absolutely. The facades are very interesting. Now, and I have always questioned how in the hell they could carve something like that into a mountain. That really makes no
Okay,
sense.
now the thing with this, right, is it's sandstone, and I don't know if you've ever messed with sandstone at all, but I've messed with it before. This place we used to hang out had a little bit there, and we used to carve into it with the key. Now I'm not saying they carved this, but what I'm saying is because I don't even know what sandstone is. It could be a concrete of some sort. I have no idea.
What about
It really could.
geopolymer? Like
It could
Paul?
be, yeah. It could be. It could very well be. And the reason I say that is if you look at Petra, if you really get in there and look at it, you're going to find tons of 45-degree angles. Now, another place you find 45-degree angles is in construction. Okay, so definitely possible that we're dealing with the building there. And now here you look at this pillar in this corner and the ground right here. I would zoom in, but it won't let me on this mobile device.
Is this
But
Petra also?
yes, this is a piece of Petra. Now it definitely looks melted. That looks pulled up right there underneath the pillar. Everything in front of you looks like it's just a pool of molten something that hardened back, you know? Now, to me, if you were going to melt a building, it would pull up like that. It wouldn't create all these lines that they say are these brick lines and block lines. You're not going to melt a
I
building
know. That
and
drives
keep
me
these
nuts too.
perfect straight lines in it. That's ridiculous.
Yep.
It's never going to happen. And then we go inside of Egypt, and you know, other people have talked about this and how the steps look melted. I mean, it's hard. You can't deny they look melted.
Yeah,
But
something's weird about that. Yeah.
when you go outside the Great Pyramid, you start to find the same thing. You find more melt, and then you're like, wow, look at that. I mean, that looks just totally burnt. I mean, it's scorched up. Something happened here. And then you have this where it's pulled up. It almost looks like lava, but it's granite. And I don't know if you study volcanoes at all, but there's no active volcano that's spitting out granite.
Yeah.
Then we hit Peru and we find these scorch marks through the blocks here. I mean, that part of the wall has just been flattened, melted.
Okay,
You know?
now this one's interesting. I've not seen, I don't think any of these pictures, but this one's interesting to me because if the Meltology people were looking at this image, the first thing that they say is this is a brick wall that has been popcorn rocked, that's balloon rocked, that these stones have morphed into the bricks have morphed into stones and
Yeah.
blown up, and the wall
Right.
is still square. Now, how in the hell is that even
You know,
possible?
that's where we're gonna, you know, like honestly, I don't agree with that theory at all. I just don't. I don't believe that's what's going on here. No, these were never red bricks that transformed into what we see in front of us.
I
They are
really
what
don't
you,
think so. I really
they've
don't
always
see any
been.
evidence for that.
They've always been what you see in front of you. It's just what they were made into, what it was before they were turned into these blocks. Now that's really where I'm trying to get to. If you can find a red brick wall and you can turn it into poly fucking masonry, I would love to see it.
You know, if you had a red brick wall and you increased blocks into different sizes, there is absolutely no way in hell that wall would remain plumb and true and level.
No
It would
way.
crumble. It would fall
Absolutely.
apart. It would not be a wall. Period. I do construction. I'm telling you from a fucking experience, it's not possible. It's
agree.
bullshit.
It is bullshit. It's total bullshit, and it's starting to make the whole movement and all the scene look bad, man. And you know, I don't like it, and it needs to be done away with, man. Everything's a red brick stuff is making the Meltology. It's been hijacked by the Everything's a Red Brick Club. The Meltology scene, the melt building scene, has been hijacked by Everything's a Red Brick Club. Because I'm into the melted buildings. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm showing you in front of you, I believe, is melted buildings, or at least melted structure.
So it's interesting. You know, it's
I mean, that looks like a wall that just that's pancaking. They like to say the pancaking. That's pancaking masonry right there. If you
The
ever gonna see pancaking masonry, there it is right there.
yeah, everything they look at is absolutely 100 to them is absolutely 100% red brick that has melted into something else, and it's just incredible. And then of course you got Jerry DeCamp with his famous well, who made the bricks, and oh well, we thought them up, I mean,
right, man. Oh my god, I just my head in my hand right now thinking about that.
I mean, kudos to Karen B for that part. I mean, I'm not Karen B, she's great on flat earth, she's great on crystals, she's great on going up against Meltology.
That was the first time I ever seen her.
Oh really?
I was like, whoa, who was that?
She's good on those theories. She's got the flat earth, the crystals, and the Meltology, going against Meltology. She's got that down pat, but then she'll deny Tartaria, Mudflood, and jet fuel hoax and other things. And then she'll turn around and say, yeah, but I believe in Sam Squinches. So,
Man.
I don't know, get off your high horse and, get down here with the rest of us.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Just another slide of that spot in Peru where you can.
That's great right there. That's cool.
There you go, man.
This is the kind of stuff that I would like to see Meltology look into, is these weird anomalous things like this.
Yeah.
What is going on there?
I study Peru endlessly, man. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many hours I've spent staring at Peru, and I still have no idea what I'm looking at. So there's this place in, I believe it's Scotland. I believe Paul Cook has even done a video on this vitrified fort.
Oh, really? That's a cool shot. That's a really cool shot.
Now, when you go down and look at it, you can definitely see some shit got melted here. We're not denying that, right? I mean, it's pretty messed off. And then you see where you start to find the hexagonal columns even. Now, all I'm saying is maybe this is the same spot. We're in the same spot here. Maybe
is this like a tree?
Well, that's the thing. Is it a tree, or was it maybe just? It is possible that some sort of heat event caused these columns to create. I'm not saying that that's impossible, because I don't know. I can't run the theory to disprove it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have the means to disprove it, so I'm not going to say it's not possible. Now, what do I think is going on here? Well, you'll see later what I've run into. We'll get to what I think all this stuff is. And then this, I was, if you're going to melt a red brick building, man, it's going to come out looking like that. And then we're in the same spot here at the vitrified fortress in Scotland. So,
another thing they never seem to they'll say brick lines, but then they never explain, well, where'd all the mortar go?
Sure. They like to even say sometimes that it swapped places with the bricks and all this weird stuff. And I was just like, man, what are y'all even on about? How can you even say something like that? It's so ridiculous. That was embarrassing. Now here you got the hexagonal columns with the red brick on top of it. I mean, it's something that you can look at and say, wow, that's definitely weird. Does it mean that the red bricks transformed into hexagonal columns? In no way, shape, or form is that what that means.
No.
I will say it is possible because I can't disprove it. I will say it's possible. And that's just me, though. Until the day I can actually run a test a million different ways on a red brick wall and it doesn't turn into a hexagonal column,
Here's what I think about this picture. I think that there's something on the bottom going on that should be investigated. And then what's on top, I think, is old world just constructing on top of that. I believe that too. We talked about this earlier. I think we have a little bit of different view here, which is fine. This is how we learn and how we work it out, is talking. But I believe that the melting happened, that these X Factor events, I believe that they were past resets, and I believe the Mudflood was the last reset around 1800s, but I believe the melted buildings happened way before that. so I believe they're different events. Now, here's the thing: the Meltology people swear up and down there was no mud flood. The X Factor event happened recently, and so there's a big difference of opinion there. Now, that's not what your opinion was, but you have a different opinion
Right.
on the other.
Yeah, definitely. I totally get where you're coming from. And honestly, at this point, after studying it as much as I have, if I had to say what we're looking at here, I think it's a castle from the old world built on top of the remnant of some sort of organic material that left these hexagonal fibers behind that petrified. Everything turns to stone here. Everything.
I have looked into the trees, the giant trees thing,
Sure.
and the hexagonal. That is really fascinating if you look into how a tree is structured and how these these towers are structured. That is really fascinating. But I don't think that I'm not sure if there's a connection between the melting and the petrified trees, the
Right.
giant trees, or if I'm not sure about that. But it's really something to look in.
It is.
Definitely.
We're going to get to it here, I think, because I think I put just a little something. I'm leading up to this is kind of like where my research started, doing the melted buildings, and then it's going to go to where it actually led me. And this one here, okay, is very interesting. If you look at it, you can find parts of the wall that look like they're butter, even like they've just totally gone, just melted, just into butter. And then what I'm thinking here is this one's possibly an old building that has been rebuilt a couple of times. Like they're saying, these cyclical events. They come and they destroy, and then the people rebuild, and then it's destroyed again, and then they rebuild, and it's just what happens. And then sometimes you even get these different styles of architecture. I think when we see that may be from different, past old world civilizations. But this one here, man, is a tough one for me.
That's a wild one right there.
Red brick, but I do think it was an old building.
I've never seen that before. That's cool.
And then right here, it's funny. It is. It gets weird if you look at the base of the tower right there. It's definitely gummy, and it looks like some weird transformation stuff was going on right there. And there's a couple little red spots, like now the enabler, the little red spot, and now it's all red brick. But I don't think it's ever all red brick, ever.
If you take that building right there, and this is just on a quick analyzation, my opinion would be, okay, if it is a melted building, it was the bottom was melted and the top was not, but it wasn't red brick, that it was a stone building and the bottom was melted. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying if I was to think that way, that would be where I would go. See, here's where the Meltology screw up. They say that is a red brick building that has balloon rocked, and it balloon rocked the top, and then the bottom melted.
Yeah.
And they take it to this extreme.
Yeah. See, I don't do that. I just can't. I can't go there. I cannot go there. But what I can say is this is a part of the old world. No doubt about it. No one's arguing that. No one's arguing the fact that this thing has been hit with some kind of cataclysm. But really, if you're going to use logical deduction, you're going to say that that's just an old castle built on top of the mountain, and that's what it is, man. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
How the hell do you build like that on top of the mountain?
Is that I know it, and then you say that, how do you even build that thing out there? Imagine having a couple thousand people at your disposal. It's probably not going to be too tough of a gig. Just saying.
I don't know. Not looking at it from like the people's manual labor. I'm looking at it from the logistics of the stone being actually lifted up there and put. It's really hard to work on the side of a cliff.
Yeah, I get it. And that's a great case for it. The whole thing having been a building at one time, and it's possible. It's definitely possible that
like it could have been flat at one time, and then the bottom melted out. Here's another thing that drives me nuts. This absolutely just really chaps my ass. They say sometimes the heat comes from the top, and sometimes it comes from the bottom, and sometimes it comes from the side. Well, which way is it? They got the damn minds.
They got it coming always.
I mean, they just whichever way it will suit their needs. That's which way they say the heat came. Like, man, come on.
All right, so this is where it's gonna get a little interesting out here. Okay?
That's cool right there.
So I'm in a Facebook club. I used to be in a Facebook club. This is what got me banished and thrown out and laughed at and mocked and every goddamn thing under the sun right here. So I do research now. I look at all possibilities now. While I'm staring at this image over here, I'm looking at these slides and I'm like, wow, that one in the middle looks like melted bricks. It even has an archway. And I'm like, well, wow, that's black pine under a microscope. I'm like, well, that's interesting. It's got the little apertures. They like to say apertures. And
Right, apertures, yeah.
And I'm looking at it right here. And I'm like, wow, look at these block. It's blocking out, man. It's totally getting blocky here. And I'm looking at this image at the same time I'm looking at these slides. So I'm like, let me put those together. And I'm like, holy shit. That's almost identical. In my eye, I'm like, wow, that is a definite possibility. So I go and I post it in the Melted Building group and immediately get blocked.
You know that? Are you
Immediately
talking about Spartan Red's?
No, shit poo. And he ended up doing it too, though. Someone over there blocked me. I can't confirm who it was, but I got blocked from the Facebook groups.
Okay, what is the Facebook? I'm not on Facebook, so what is the Facebook club of Spartan Red? What's that called?
Some university, Melted Building University.
That's it. That's the one. Okay.
Yeah.
Their question to get into their club on Facebook is, what are mountains? And the answer is melted buildings. And that just drives me nuts because they say all mountains are melted buildings. And I have lived in the mountains in my lifetime, and I'm telling you 100% that's crap. That's absolute crap.
I agree totally.
That really drives me nuts.
I spend a lot of time on Google Earth, man, and right after I'm finding these things that look like trees under a microscope, I find this, and I'm like, why does that look like a cedar branch?
Have you seen the Google Earth pictures of where it looks like the giant tree has fallen over and it's still got the imprint of the limbs and the leaves and all that?
Oh yeah, I think that's in like Madagascar or something like that. Yeah, and
that's crazy.
It is crazy, and that's kind of what I'm getting at here. Is like this knot that we're looking at. If it be a knot, is over 100 miles long. I mean, this tree is unbelievably big. And then this slide here is another slide on the right. I promise you that the slide on the left is not a close-up of the slide on the right. I promise you. Alchemist actually is in the chat room right now. He posted a picture on the right in one of the clubs on Facebook, and I took it and I was like, wow, that's termite damage. So, I mean.
Yeah. It does look like termite damage.
Indecipherable. And then this next slide, termite damage on a book. And on the right is pot in Spain here. I mean, if you can tell them apart, man, I'll shake your hand.
That's crazy looking.
I mean, this is the stuff, man, that got me like, this guy is crazy. I felt crazy thinking about this. To me, this one's kind of out there. The next few slides are a little bit out there, but if you really look at it, you almost can't tell the difference.
Have you looked into how it looks like the plasma was used to create the canyons and stuff, where it looks like I don't know what I'm going to say here, but how it looks like it's okay. Have you ever seen plasma put onto wood and it burns through the wood in a pattern?
Liechtenstein or something they call that. Yeah.
Yes. And then
I got you.
You look down on Google Earth and you see the same thing. It looks like they've
everywhere
hit this thing with plasma and it shot out. And I've also wondered if maybe that had something to do with ancient mining.
For real. Now that's a great point, because honestly, like just very recently, because I don't always make a video about the research I'm doing. It'd be impossible. I would be dead man trying to stay up that much,
Yeah.
But I try to share as much of it as I can, especially what I think is important. Like what I'm sharing with you now. I feel like to me this is close to my heart. These slides I'm showing you right here. I mean, this is me right here, man. This is it. And by the way, the word truth is derived from the word tree, deru. So I feel like there's something about these trees, man. I really do.
I definitely agree with you know, there's one thing that just irks me but is the fact that these what looks like these ancient tree stumps, if they are trees, that means that they were cut off with some sort of saw.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
Yep.
what the hell kind of saw is big enough to cut that off?
Man, there's only one thing that comes to my mind, but and it's not popular as usual, but Fallen Angel Construction Company comes to mind.
I mean, if you really think about that, if you accept that they are giant trees, then you have to accept that those giant trees were cut down because they're not broken off. Well, some of them are, but most of them are clean cut, just like I cut my own wood for a wood stove every year, right?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I flatten the tops, okay, of the stump. And so it's literally a flat stump. Now, to make a flat stump, you have to have a device or something that can do that. It doesn't. A tree doesn't fall over and leave a flat stump.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
just my
It
two
has to be
cents.
cut down.
I don't know how. I'm just saying. We're talking
I know, and that's
Avatar.
the thing too. You know, a lot of the answers will never be had, if any at all. In fact, but keep asking questions, especially if you think you figured something out. That's when you really. Anyway, that's how I operate. If I think I know something, man, I take a step back and I try to disprove what I think I know. And that's what happened here. Was I got into the melt scene and I was like, man, this was cool, and I deep dive like you wouldn't believe, man, over my head even at one point. And what ended up happening was in my mind, I disproved it for the most part. I mean, yeah, there are melted buildings, and there definitely are things that look weird. And one of these mountains could be a giant red brick building, but to even say that every mountain is a red brick building is preposterous. And it makes the whole movement look bad.
Kind of, I'll get into it a little bit later, but they also talk about melting in the cities with the cobblestone roads. They say all cobblestone roads are melted red brick, and I have been over that to extent, and
Man.
that
It
just
doesn't
drives
take
me
much
absolutely
research.
batty.
I'm finding now, Beaks, that it doesn't take much research to disprove anything these people have done.
And that's the funny thing. You're right, because literally, if you will reverse image search their images, about 50% of them will come back with something, 50% of them will come back with nothing. And the ones that you can come back with, about 25% of what you could find will come back with results that will blow your fucking mind, because they are so full of it's exactly that the video I showed earlier about the what they called a melted building in Paris. They went on and on for minutes talking about this thing being a melted building, and I proved with a very simple Google search that it absolutely was horseshit. And I found that I have an entire folder full of these things, and I could literally start a channel where that's all I did every day, put out a video just like that I showed earlier for the rest of my life. I have that
I know
much
you
data.
when you went down there and Google Earth literally had a picture and it wasn't there, I just sat here with both my hands in my head and I was like, oh my god. But I just wanted to kind of end it with like something I like to do for fun. And I like to look at old maps and like translate the words on them and stuff.
That's cool
And
looking.
because a lot of them are Latin, right? And I've learned a few things about the Tartarians from doing this.
Oh, cool.
And one of the main things I learned about the Tartarian is, in fact, that they even were called free range Tartars. Okay. They were the nomads at the time. They lived in Mongolia. And none of the actions were documented because if you went up there, they would kill you and take all of your shit. They were the least advanced civilization at the time, but nobody fucked with them because they didn't need the advanced part of the world to exist. So they left the Tartar alone. And a lot of times, if you look on the maps where Tartaria is, it's this isolated spot that doesn't really have much stuff documented there. I didn't learn about Tartaria from watching people on YouTube. I went into these maps and I deciphered this. words on them. And I started to find interesting stuff. Like this map has these weird creatures on it, right? You think, oh, that ain't nothing. But then you see this guy on the map with the dog head here on the right, and then you find them in churches and in old artwork. You even find some with Jesus.
Right.
And then the Ethiopia thing. Well, that the guy on the right there was from Ethiopia. Now you have this Mercy tribe in Ethiopia that put the sting in their lip, and
How about that?
Pretty wild stuff, man. And then the last one here is just it's out there, but hey, here it is in front of you. The same thing kind of going on here.
Now we need to keep in mind that the victors write the history, so we know that the Tartars were wiped off the map. So we know that they're not the victors. So we also have to take everything we find about the Tartars, the Tartarians,
written off because they were the nomads and shit. They were already kind of isolated, and it wouldn't take much to get rid of them. I don't know. I feel like,
or were they? Remember,
I feel like in a way that the way, because I don't know if y'all guys noticed how YouTube doesn't like much truth getting out there, but they pushed the hell out of some Tartarians. And I don't know. I feel like it's for a reason. I feel like I don't want to say Tartaria research is not worth doing, because it is. I love it. I do it myself. Hell, I even posted a video the other day about the old World's Fair and stuff. I love looking at that stuff. But do I really think that I'm going to find answers in there? I really don't.
I think that, really first off, they have to tell us what they've done to us. And the second thing off is, I don't think that Tartarians are the creme de la creme of what was erased. I think they were just a part of what was erased.
Sure.
So they're like, oh, well, we'll give them the Tartarians, and that way they won't find the rest of it.
I agree. Completely.
I don't know.
I loved it. Research is my thing, man. I live for it.
Let me share a couple pics that I pulled. I just have a few. Let's see. No, I'm hitting the wrong button. Okay, there. All right. This is just an image of a cobblestone, road and a brick road side by side. Now, here's the thing: the meltologists are saying that this cobblestone is actually melted red brick. But then they say this over here on the left-hand side with the brick that's still there, they'll say, oh, well, this brick just didn't get hit by the X factor.
So left and right are from the same time period. I can't get there, man. You'll never get me to say that.
And it's just like, okay, wait a minute. I can go pick up, 1 billion of these in the river. No problem. I can do that today. And I don't, come on. Now here's Pompeii. These guys will say that Pompeii, that these are melted red bricks and they've balloon rocked here.
I'll say that that's melted something, but I ain't going to tell you it's red brick.
And then another one, I literally sat there and watched them say this one night. They said that these are popcorn bricks that they have popcorned and balloon rocked, and so are these, and so are these. But these red ones, these ones didn't get hit by the X Factor. They said that basically that the X Factor event selectively did these and right here, and not the ones that look like brick. I'm like, are you fucking smoking dope? I mean, seriously.
They still build with those patterns today. It's just the way we build today is the same way they built back then. We replicate what they used to do. It's just the way it is. You'll never get me to agree with what you just said.
Here's another one. They'll say that the X Factor hit these right here and popcorn rocked them, and these bricks right here didn't get hit. And then they'll say these stones got hit, these bricks didn't. These stones got hit, these bricks didn't. These stones got hit, these bricks did different.
Yeah,
and it's like, come on.
It confuses me even watching you do that.
And this is one that really drove me up the wall. I believe this is either in Charleston or Savannah, Georgia. Charleston, South Carolina, or Savannah, Georgia. It's one of the two. I can't remember. But this is in downtown, one of those cities. and they were saying that this is X Factor event, and they're saying that this right here got X Factor, but this didn't. This didn't get hit. The red didn't get hit, but the stone, well, they say that's popcorn rock, but that did get hit. And then over here, this is called a coin where you see the bricks going one way and then the other. This is a very standard way of building. And they say, well, this is X factored over here and this is not. And I'm like, good God, you people.
It is a lot, it is a lot. And then when you try to sell it as being, a truth instead of just a theory, because it's really all it is, it's just a theory, just like any other theory, but you're not presenting it like that. You're speaking definitively. It's no longer a theory when you decide to speak definitively about it. And
right,
then,
exactly.
you don't have any proof to back up anything you've said, any claim you've ever made has ever been backed up by a test in a controlled environment. And that's the only way you're ever going to have proof or evidence is if you duplicate or replicate a result.
Like, where is the test where you take a balloon rock and you take it to a lab and you analyze it to find out if it actually has properties of brick?
Exactly. Thank you. Just start there. Let's start there. Let's go out and get a boulder, smash some dirt off it. If I had the means to do it, man, I would do it. But I'm in the armchair here, like.
Right. I'm in the same boat. I can't do it. This is a one of those word balloon thingies or whatever they're called. And this is something that I believe Tartarian Meltdown put down, but this gives you some of the idea of the terminology that these people use. Pockets of survival. That, oh my God.
They got it down, man. They got the terminology down.
Oh yeah.
They really do. They really do. They've been perfecting it for a while here.
This one kills me. Mortar
Let
snow.
Let me just say this. There are some brilliant minds in Meltology. There are, and I feel like some of them are just scared to speak up because they feel like they'll get kicked out like I did. And they want to be part of a group more than they want to be involved in research and truth. And that's fine if that's what you want. But I'm going to tell you this, stay the hell from around me if that's what you're going to do. Because I'm in this for research. I'm not in this for views and likes and subs and all that stuff. I love the support. Don't get me wrong, but that's not why I'm doing this.
I agree. Now I would like to, we were talking about this earlier, and I would like to talk about this. I've talked a little bit about it, but my research, the people in my group of researchers, they have been for a long time questioning why in the hell, they keep asking, why in the hell are you so concerned about this Meltology thing? Why are you so upset about it? Why do you keep going after them? Why don't you just, let it be?
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I realize this is the first thing is they shot one over my bow by saying Mudflood does what didn't happen. Sure, that was the first thing that got my attention. But another thing that got my attention was they were saying that Levy gets it. And I didn't understand what they meant by that because I had never heard him talk about Meltology before. So I started paying real close to what John was saying. Yeah. And I really quickly determined that I had missed something. And what I determined was that he was watching these people and he was starting to fall for their tricks.
He was.
And so I was trying to bring it to light so that John could see the error of his ways and could come back from the dark side. Yeah. So I want to share two snippets of video that I pulled here. I have more, but these are the two that I want to show. He is actually, I believe that John is looking into Meltology, and that's fine because we are looking into Meltology, but he is actually falling for the tricks of these people, and he's actually using their terms but changing the wordage. So listen very closely, and I'll play you two snippets, and this is John Levy.
So exciting. And mind you, we're seeing a larger block at the very bottom here. Just a beautiful, beautiful type of old world concrete. Just the most perfect concrete. We can see it's cracked.
Okay, the first thing I'd like to point out is that he is on the outside of this coke oven, and he is looking at the bottom what I would call a stone, and he is calling it a concrete block. Fine.
Sure.
I would say stone. He's saying it's concrete. He's boots on the ground. He's got his hands on it. Maybe it is concrete. Fine. I'm okay with that. However, he next goes inside, and I want you to pay very close attention to the words he uses. And this is really why I want to get Levy to understand what's going on here.
He does.
At the bottom, there's larger block work. Larger bricks fusing into stone. Completely turning into a stone ring at the base. All these bricks melted, turning into a different type of brick. Just amazing.
So on the outside, he calls it concrete. On the inside, he calls it brick fusing into stone.
He sure did.
He
Which
is
one is it,
using the
Johnny?
exact terminology of the Meltology people.
It can't be both. Concrete on the outside and brick on the inside. Okay.
So I applaud John for going out and looking for Meltology, but I would like to help him understand.
That video from Kairos, man, when I realized that John did it too, and the stuff that I just proved in 30 seconds, John had also put on his channel without looking into it. It kind of broke my heart, man. It really did, because this guy has a humongous channel. His channel is enormous. His influence is large. And me saying something about it is not going to affect him in any sort of way.
Absolutely.
It won't. This will not affect him at all. If you go to my channel right now, you'll find videos, the truth about John Levi.
In my community, we consider John the tip of the spear because the viewers have put him there.
Yeah,
but
they did.
We also don't consider him the tip of the spear because his research is not where we want to be.
When he posted the stuff from Edgar Reyes, and Edgar Reyes, if Edgar still hadn't told us it was fake, that those videos would still be on John's channel, but that's besides the point I'm trying to make here. The point I'm trying to make here is when that happened to John, he should have became vigilant in his research, because this video from I Am Kairos is literally the most popular video besides the documentaries in Meltology right now. I don't know how many people watched it on John's channel, probably over 100,000 people. And it's total nonsense. If you go to my channel, you'll see I debunk it in 30 seconds. He could have he even called it a wonder. It took me 20-second Google search to debunk one of John Levi's wonders. Tighten up, John. Please, man, please. A lot of people are looking at you. Please tighten up.
I like John as a person, and I think this is something that I don't think I've ever been clear about, is that I don't care about the person, the human behind this research. I care about the research. So but the problem is that these people take it as a personal attack when you question their research. We're not attacking you as a person, we're attacking you as your. Now granted, they come back at me and attack me personally, and I fire back. I don't just sit back and take it.
Big thing, I'll roll over.
I'm not. It's just, but we have questions. I originally tried to ask questions in. I used to go in the live streams of their videos and try to ask questions, but they would shoot me down or block me. And so then I tried going through back channels to set up some communications with them, and they shot me down and wouldn't debate. I challenged them to a debate. They never came. And it's, you cannot get anywhere with these people. And then we've got our fearless Mudflood leader, and he's fallen for their tricks as well. So
I know.
I'm like, man,
I was so disappointed. I can't honestly express how disappointed I am right now in myself for not finding it sooner. Actually, you know what? Honestly, with all this stuff I did was months ago, and I gave them time to maybe come around and say, maybe Gnawlidge is onto something, and we should give them the time of day. But nobody ever bothered to ask me to come on their show and show the evidence I found about these enormous trees and all this stuff that conflicted with the red brick research. They wanted nothing to do with it. They mocked me, blocked me, ridiculed me. I mean, I'm like Velikovsky over here, man. I'm sitting here by myself. I know I have a few people that, they say they're helping me and stuff, and I appreciate it. But, man, I want people that put their voice on it and come out and say, man, this ain't right. I appreciate the support in the comments, man, but make a video. You got a channel too, man. Make a video.
Yeah.
Show me you're serious, because I'm serious.
Yeah.
But
Did you ever? I don't know if you saw. I had to pull down a lot of the videos that I made about them. I need to just re-edit them and put them back up. But did you ever see the one that I showed about the Yosemite Falls?
No. I don't think I did.
They were saying that that Yosemite Falls. Actually, it was True Seeker 69 and Bill Miller Flip, and they went on several channels, but then they eventually went on Martin Lika's channel, and they went up there and they were talking about Yosemite Falls being an ancient plumbing system and how it's never shut off. And I'm like, oh, so I went in to look at it, and the first thing I found out was that Yosemite Falls regularly goes dry. Nice. And also, at the time I was doing the research on that, it actually was flooding. So they were saying that this thing was a constant, and it actually went on and off and got worse over time. And I just put it out there and slammed them with that. Boy, that really pissed them off. But God, if you're going to put out shitty research, what do you expect?
There you go. That's why we're here right now, man. Really, it's because it's a necessary thing, man. Sometimes you just have to shake it all up, and appreciate you for letting me on, man. But I do have to run.
Okay, all right, that's no problem. I will. I think we're gonna go ahead and end the stream. And Gnawlidge, I'd like to continue this conversation. So if you're game, we will continue this conversation at a later date.
Absolutely. Just email me. You have my contact, and anytime, BEAGS. I appreciate you finding this and helping me, bringing light to what's happening in the community, because believe it or not, it's toxic across the board.
You're quite welcome. You are quite welcome. We will get in touch with you, and I will talk to you shortly.
All right, BEAGS. Appreciate you, man.
No problem. Thanks, Gnawlidge.
Woof again! Say woof again!
I've got one that can see.
It's a mystery! It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma! Don't you get it?
Welcome to the underground.
This is my kung fu, and it is strong.
See you later.